That night, my car broke down just outside a small town called Ashford, somewhere between long stretches of empty highway and forest that seemed to swallow the road whole. It was already late, close to midnight, and the only option left was a night train heading north. The station was nearly deserted when I got there. A flickering light buzzed above the ticket counter, and the woman behind the glass barely looked at me when I asked for a seat. "Last train tonight," she said flatly. "Doesn't stop much." I didn't care. I just needed to get moving. The platform felt wrong. Too quiet. No announcements, no distant chatter, not even the usual metallic echoes you expect at a station. Just the sound of wind dragging across the tracks. When the train finally arrived, it didn't slow down like normal. It sort of glided in. Smooth. Silent. Like it had been waiting for me. I boarded quickly. Inside, the carriage was mostly empty. Old seats. Dim yellow lights. The kind that hummed softly like they're struggling to stay alive. There were maybe 3 other people scattered across the entire car. A man in a gray coat staring out the window, a woman sitting with her head down, and someone at the far end I couldn't clearly see. I took a seat near the middle. At first, everything seemed normal. The train started moving the tracks, clicking rhythmically beneath us. I pulled out my phone, but there was no signal. Not surprising given the location. About 15 minutes and I noticed something strange. The man in the gray coat hadn't moved once. Not even slightly. No shift, no blink, nothing. I tried to ignore it, telling myself he was just asleep or lost in thought. But something about the way he sat, it didn't feel natural. Too still, too rigid. Then the lights flickered. Just once. But when they came back, the man was gone. I sat up straight, my chest tightening. There was no way he could have left without me noticing. The doors hadn't opened. I hadn't heard footsteps. He was just gone. I turned to check the rest of the carriage. The woman was still there. Head down. Not moving. And the figure at the far end. Closer now. I froze. I was sure, absolutely sure, that person had been sitting much farther away before. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe I hadn't been paying attention. Maybe they'd moved quietly. But my gut told me something was off. I stood up. "Hello." I called out, my voice echoing slightly. No response. The train kept moving faster now. The clicking of the tracks grew louder, more aggressive, like something was building. I started walking toward the front of the carriage, planning to find the conductor, or at least another passenger. As I passed the woman, I slowed down. Her head was still lowered. "Excuse me," I said. No reaction. I leaned in slightly. "Are you?" She lifted her head. I wish she hadn't. Her eyes were wide open, completely white. No pupils, no color, just blank. I stumbled back, my heart slamming in my chest. And then she smiled. Not a normal smile. Too wide, too slow. Like her face wasn't used to making that expression. I didn't wait. I turned and ran. I pushed through the door in the next carriage, nearly tripping as the train jolted harder than before. My breathing was out of control, and my hands were shaking so badly I had to grip the seat backs just to stay steady. This carriage was empty, or at least it looked empty. Every light above me flickered in a slow, uneven pattern. The air felt colder here, heavy, like stepping into a place that hadn't been used in years. I kept moving. One carriage, then another, each one emptier than the last. No passengers, no conductor, nothing. Just that same humming sound growing louder the farther I went. I finally reached a door labeled "Staff Only." I didn't hesitate. I forced it open. Inside was a small control room, but there was no one there. No driver, no operator, just the controls moving on their own. Levers shifting, dials turning, lights blinking without any human touch. I stepped back slowly, my mind struggling to make sense of it. That's when I heard footsteps behind me. Slow, deliberate. I turned around. The man in the gray coat was standing at the door. But he wasn't alone. The woman was there too. And the third figure. All of them staring at me. None of them blinking. "You shouldn't be here," the man said. His voice sounded wrong. Like multiple voices layered together, slightly out of sync. "I just need to get off," I stammered. The woman tilted her head. You already did, she whispered. A cold wave ran through me. What? The third figure stepped forward into the light. It was a young boy, or at least it used to be. His face was pale, almost gray, with deep shadows under his eyes. This train doesn't take people, he said quietly. It keeps them. My stomach dropped. No, that's not possible. I got on at Ashford. I bought a ticket. The man smiled faintly. Ashford Station closed 12 years ago. Everything went silent. My ears rang. That's not I was just there, I said, but even to me my voice sounded weak. The woman stepped closer. You were, she said softly. For the last time. Memories hit me all at once. The road, the headlights, the sudden figure crossing, the impact. I staggered back. No. The boy pointed toward the window. Look. I turned slowly. Outside, the train wasn't moving through forests anymore. It was passing through something else entirely. Dark shapes, endless shadows, no sky, no stars, just an empty, stretching void. And for a brief second I saw it. A wrecked car. My car, crushed against a tree, flashing lights around it. People gathered, a body being pulled out. My body. I couldn't breathe. This isn't real, I whispered. The man stepped closer. It is now. I shook my head, backing away. I'm not staying here. The woman's smile widened again. You don't get a choice. The lights went out. Total darkness swallowed everything. And then I felt it. Hands. Cold. Gripping my arms. Pulling me back. I screamed, but no sound came out. The last thing I remember was the sound of the train speeding up, faster than anything should. And then, nothing. They say sometimes late at night a train passes through places where no tracks exist anymore. No stations, no schedules, just a faint hum in the distance. If you ever find yourself on it, don't fall asleep. Don't talk to anyone. And whatever you do, don't believe you can get off. Because I tried, and I'm still here, watching, waiting for the next passenger. My name's Marcus Hale, and this happened 3 years ago on a late train from Portland to Seattle. It was supposed to be a quiet, uneventful ride. I had a window seat in a nearly empty carriage, one of those older trains where the lights flicker just enough to make you notice. There were maybe 5 other people in the entire coach. A middle-aged woman sleeping across the aisle, a guy in a hoodie near the back, and an older man sitting a few rows ahead of me, completely still staring out into the dark. We left the station around 11:40 p.m. By midnight, the city lights were gone, replaced by endless stretches of forest. Just blackness outside the window. No houses, no roads. Nothing. That's when I noticed the first strange thing. The old man hadn't moved at all. Not once. At first I thought he was just asleep with his eyes open, which sounds ridiculous, but people do weird things. Still, something about him felt wrong. His posture was stiff, unnatural. His reflection in the glass didn't match the slight movements of the train. I tried to ignore it and put my headphones in. About 20 minutes later, the train slowed down. Not a normal stop. No station. No announcement. Just slowing. The lights flickered harder this time, and for a second the entire carriage went dim. When the lights came back, I noticed the old man was gone. Just gone. No sound. No footsteps. No door opening. I leaned forward trying to see if he'd moved somewhere else, but the aisle was empty. The guy in the hoodie was still there. The woman was still asleep. I felt this tight pressure in my chest. Something wasn't right. Then I heard it. A faint knocking sound. It was coming from the window. I turned slowly, expecting maybe a branch or debris hitting the glass, but we weren't close to anything. Just open tracks, surrounded by forest. The knocking came again. 3 slow taps. Right next to my head. I froze. We were moving. There's no way anything could be tapping the window like that at this speed. And yet, it happened again. Tap, tap, tap. I forced myself to look. At first I saw nothing but my reflection. Pale, tense, wide-eyed. Then just behind it, Another face, pressed against the outside of the glass. It was the old man. His skin looked gray, almost stretched. His eyes were wide, open too wide like they were being forced. And his mouth, it was smiling. Not a normal smile. Something empty. Wrong. I jerked back so hard I hit the seat behind me. When I looked again, the window was empty. No face. No reflection except my own. My heart was pounding so loud I could barely hear anything else. I looked around hoping someone else saw it. No one reacted. No one moved. It was like I was the only one aware of what just happened. That's when the train stopped completely. Dead silence. The lights flickered again, longer this time. The carriage dipped into darkness for a full 2 seconds. And in those 2 seconds, I heard footsteps right behind me. When the lights came back and I didn't turn around immediately, I couldn't. Every instinct in my body was screaming not to look. But the silence was worse. Slowly I turned my head. The aisle behind me was empty. No one there. But the guy in the hoodie was gone now too. His seat was empty like he'd never been there. I stood up trying to stay calm, telling myself there had to be a logical explanation. Maybe they moved to another carriage. Maybe I just didn't notice. But deep down I knew that wasn't true. I started walking toward the end of the coach. Each step felt louder than it should. The floor creaked under my weight, echoing in the quiet. "Hello," I called out. No answer. I reached the door, connecting to the next carriage. It was slightly open. That shouldn't happen. These doors usually stay shut unless someone pushes them. I hesitated, then pulled it open the rest of the way. The next carriage was completely empty. Lights dimmer. Seats vacant. No bags. No people. Nothing. That's when I heard the knocking again. This time not from a window. From behind me. I turned. At the far end of the carriage I had just come from, I saw him. The old man. Standing perfectly still in the middle of the aisle. But now, he looked different. Taller somehow. His limbs seemed slightly too long, like they didn't quite fit his body anymore. His head tilted at an unnatural angle. And that same smile. Wider now. Too wide. My throat went dry. "How did you?" I started, but my voice cracked. He didn't answer. He just took one step forward. The sound of his shoe hitting the floor echoed unnaturally loud. Then another step. I backed away into the empty carriage behind me. "Stay back," I said, even though I knew how useless that sounded. He kept walking. Slow. Steady. Like he knew I had nowhere to go. I turned and ran. Down the empty carriage, past rows of silent seats, toward the next door. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost couldn't open it. When I finally did, I stumbled into another coach. And stopped. This one was full. People everywhere. Talking. Laughing. Normal. Like nothing was wrong. I turned back immediately. The door I came through slammed shut on its own. I grabbed the handle and yanked it open again. The carriage behind me was empty. No old man. No footsteps. Nothing. Just silence. I stood there for a long time, trying to process what had just happened. Eventually, I went back to my seat. The woman across the aisle was still sleeping like before. The rest of the journey was completely normal. No more knocking. No more lights flickering. Nothing. When we arrived in Seattle, I got off the train as fast as I could. I tried to convince myself it was just stress, lack of sleep, my mind playing tricks on me. But that idea fell apart a few days later. I was unpacking my bag when I found something I didn't recognize. A train ticket. Old. Worn. Yellowed with age. It wasn't mine. The date printed on it was from 1978. Same route. Same time. And stamped across the top in faded ink were the words, "Passenger missing." I never took a night train again after that. And sometimes when I'm alone in a quiet room, I still hear it. 3 slow knocks. Right next to my head.